You're watching the panel, and it's time now to welcome our first guest for this evening. He's been all over the country in the last week promoting his new album, Photograph Smile, which incidentally entered the ARIA charts at number 30 just the other day. Well done. Would you please welcome Mr. Julian Lennon? Julian, how'd you cope with the ARIA Awards last night?
Well, it was sore bum. That was it.
Long
really.
evening, yeah.
Yeah, sit
Long
down.
and dry. Was it
Long
dry?
and dry. Yeah, it was like being on an aeroplane without the food, without the drink, without the smoking, without
And your ears kind of hurting at the same time.
Yeah.
Is it like the British Music Awards?
I went to one of those a long time ago. I tried to avoid them as much as possible.
The one I love is the World Music Awards in Monaco.
Oh yeah, I've been to that.
And Prince
a
Albert
classic.
and
Yes.
Claudia Schiffer sit in the front row.
Yeah, that quite possibly is the most boring.
Julian, what about, have you been to a Eurovision Song Contest?
No, I definitely try and stay away from that one.
You're saying it like it's bad.
That's a treat awaiting you. And you've been doing lots of small, little, intimate club shows as you work around the country?
Yeah, some showcases here and there. Yeah, having a bit of fun, meeting and greeting and signing and photographs.
And the idea being you'll come back and do a
Yeah,
big tour.
the real tour next year, yeah.
Is the tour about this album, or are you doing any of your old music?
Yeah, it'll be this album and my favourites of the past, probably.
Excellent.
You know.
And this one's been quite a wait for this. It's been 7 years or something since you last poked your head up.
That's
out
very
of the
true.
burrow?
Yeah, so to speak.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, I just got really fed up with the music industry. Basically, it was not about music anymore, and there was no consistency. Companies buying companies, people moving left, right, and centre, and I just felt a great lack of support and too many broken promises. And I said, I've had enough of doing the same thing for so many years and not having control, you know.
Yeah.
Well, see, my theory was that you saw the success that David Hasselhoff was having.
Don't even go there.
And you went, geez, if he's... Oh, geez, it's obviously easier than when I was there last time.
I actually saw him, I was at Disneyland in the States, and he was performing.
He's actually a ride, I think, at Disneyland.
Was he talking to the car? Was he talking to the car, or was he singing?
No,
Or wearing red
he was
Speedo.
all in leather, doing the knee slide across the stage. It was a scary sight.
Julian, do you live in Italy? Do you?
Yes, I do.
Whereabouts?
Up in the north, near Como.
Santo's Italian.
Southern. Peasant stock.
Do you live there for the television? I mean, it is because I mean that's my reason for going over there. I reckon. I mean, in fact, you know what? Have you noticed this? In fact, you've probably done this. In Italy, you can actually roll up to a variety show and actually do nothing but sit in the audience, and they'll go, "Signore, signori, seduti nella terza fila è Julian Lennon," and you know what to do is stand up and do that, and you're part of the show.
Oh, because you're there.
Have you done that?
No, I haven't done that.
That and the Eurovision Song Contest await you.
There's some treats to look forward to when you get back to Europe.
No,
But
thank
why
you.
do you live in Italy?
Well, I grew up partly in Italy. My stepfather was Italian, and I love the countryside. I love the food. I love the architecture. You know, and they're warm, generous people, and the people that absolutely enjoy every moment of life. You know, which is
Bit overbearing sometimes.
Yeah. He's allowed to say that.
So what did you do with your 7 years off? We've heard you like cooking and architecture and all those certain things. Dabble in a bit of everything?
Yeah, a bit of everything. Photography.
Whale saving.
Yeah. Putting together documentaries about indigenous peoples and whales and dolphins, sailing and poetry and just writing in general.
You sound like a member of the royal family, basically, which is a good lifestyle. I'm not knocking it. And now, so then you set up your own label because you had like castles with your previous label, and a bit of a George Michael, not in the toilet box sense. I mean in the contractual sense. And so this Photograph Smile was done for yourself, basically. Your own label.
Absolutely.
And when you're recording without the commercial considerations, do you still find yourself thinking, oh, what's the single, and, you know, has this got commercial radio airplay potential, or are you totally
A little bit, a little bit. I especially felt with this as a first release on my label, and it being the first piece of music that I had full control over, that I still had to have elements of the commercial sense in a couple of the songs, but still remained as true to myself as possible, you know, without.
But the full control thing, do you actually saying when you were recording albums in the past, what, someone from the record company would come in and go, we don't like
they'd sit,
the bass line on this?
They'd sit in the back of the studio and just sit around and wait, and they'd come in, you know, for an hour or two every day.
And were they like sort of diplomatic about, we love it, Julian, but, or were they just blunt and going?
Well, no, it was mainly they would sort of pull the producer to one side and say something.
That's infuriating.
And then he would, you know, come back to me and say, well, maybe we should try a different approach on that.
And is this a suit or someone who purportedly knows something about music?
No, half and half, really.
Oh, okay.
So, with this new record label, do you look at new bands? Are you looking for younger talent, or...?
I'm going to get round to it, but first and foremost, it's a platform for this album.
Because Andrew sings.
Don't start, you know how bad I am.
And I have to sort of prove myself with this first, prove the company with this first, and if I can establish that, which I seem to be doing, then after the tour, then I can actually concentrate on, you know, looking into other acts.
Well, the single is I Don't Want to Know. Can you stand if we have a quick listen? Because we saw the clip the other day and it was sensational. And for anyone who hasn't seen it, here's a bit of it.
For you, look, you can waggle your empire.
I don't want to know what's going on. I don't want to know what's right or wrong. I don't want to know whose bed you're in. I don't want to know just where you've been. Oh, baby, you were never really good for me. Just maybe.
That's sensational. Is that Eric Idle? It looks a lot like Eric Idle sitting up on the balcony.
Incredibly like Eric Idle, doesn't he?
Is it not?
No, it's not. No. I actually approached the Rutles to get them involved, but Eric was in Los Angeles working on a film project. But the other three guys were into it, you know.
Yes. Great.
But because I couldn't get them all together, I had to sort of make a quick decision and reinvent them and call them the Butlers, you know. There's some other people.
It's almost like now, you know, so many years after Beatles stopped, that everyone's having a bit more fun with... Paul McCartney seems more relaxed about everything now.
Yeah, but they've always been of that sort of attitude anyway, you know. They were serious about the work and the music, but the rest was... it was all a game, you know. It's all fun.
There's fantastic footage of when they came to Australia in, like, 1963. Right. And I don't know that it's played much anywhere else in the world. Someone owns it, like, you know, like in the old days, someone owns everything. And it was incredible because the mucking around that they were doing on airplanes.
I think a lot of people tend to forget that, you know, and then it becomes all a little too precious.
Yes.
But you're like obviously having a lend with that.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and what's the reaction been to that?
Well, the majority has been very favourable.
And we want to hear about the minority.
Well, no, there's been a couple of people that feel slightly offended.
That you're being sacrilegious or something?
Absolutely. It's the precious.
Because you live like with this icon over your shoulder all the time. How over that are you?
Oh, I'm way past that.
Yeah.
I'm way past that. I mean, for me, there was never a shadow in the first place. You know, that was a media thing that was built up through the media. I just got on with the music, which was obviously a love of mine, and just continued and worked hard. You know, it's an art form, it's a craft, and I just worked and worked and worked at it.
And you've ended up on a telephone.
That was my ambition.
Were you really on a telephone the other night?
Yeah, absolutely.
In Perth?
Yeah.
Because I saw it says, because you donated some money to Telethon.
Not just some money, Santos.
A bunch of money.
$100,000.
Yeah. Well, you know, I feel like I'm talking, you know, an accountant is around. But it's actually called Telethon.
Yeah.
Was it for a children's hospital or something?
Yeah,
right.
For disabled kids of all sorts. And they do a lot of research there, which not only affects the kids throughout Australia, but also the rest of the world. They're one of the leaders, you know.
And does this feel a little bit like a telethon? Because that's our dream. We want this to feel like that.
Donation
There aren't enough phones ringing, let me tell you.
Well, Julian, can I tell you, if you do, have you done telethons around the world?
No, that was my
If you
first.
ever get to the United States, please, 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 go on the Chabad telethon. I can't believe I've actually got a chance to show this.
Have we got footage?
Yes, I've got footage. This is the Chabad. This is Hasidic Jews running the telethon.
Let's see what we have here.
Hang on, hang on. And then they go crazy and they just start dancing, okay? Hang on a tick. That's the Rabbi Kunan there. Okay, but Julian, the good thing is that they have acts on. If you can also perform.
Wow, that's something else, isn't it?
No, hang on.
I'm going to ring that number.
Okay, I've got to tell you. Okay, I think we've seen enough of that.
See, you could do it to lay off the caffeine.
But Julian, there was this great moment there where they gave a new liver to a young girl who came over from Israel or something, and the guy goes, and now she's going to live a fruitful life. She's joining the army.
I might say that was sent by a Jewish friend of ours.
It was, exactly. Harry Shearer sent that across. So,
Can I tell you a
so
small piece of trivia history about the telethon in Perth? You might even know it. Robert Holmes Court bought a company, English company, which actually owned the entire Beatles catalogue, back catalogue. And Michael Jackson wanted to buy, and still owns most of the catalogue.
Yeah.
And one of the conditions was that he came to Australia to be on that telethon. And suddenly, we didn't know this, and suddenly
Really?
Michael Jackson turned up at the telethon.
Oh, really?
Yep, and then he gave his daughter one song.
Right.
That's right, that's
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
I know
And that's-
about
Holmes
how-
Court gave
So-
who gave his
I
daughter one
wonder
song?
whether, is this maybe Julian's come back to get the song back or something? No.
Hey, are you religious?
that. Not particularly, no.
Because I was listening. Is that a rune around your neck?
It's a rune,
The
yes,
rune.
yeah.
What is the rune sign that it is of?
It basically represents focus, awareness, guidance.
Or do you change it for shows like tonight?
No.
Which is
No, it's
temper, even temper.
no, unfortunately, no. No, I just stick with the same one.
Well, Julian, you've got a few more shows to go around the country.
Yeah.
I hope you continue to enjoy playing here, and we look forward to seeing you when you return. When are you coming back? Sometime.
Probably this time next
Sensational. Good luck with the album. Photograph Smile. It's an absolute Monty. Go out and purchase it. Would you please thank Julian Lennon?